the first pick for him.
Yeah, Seraph
right out.
Seraph has definitely liked a lot of the split pushers and a lot of the lane dominant champions like Kennen. Jace is another one that comes to mind with him.
Yeah.
But even the Rek'Sai here, CLG really like the new Rek'Sai as far as, you know, how much power it does bring to the table. They first picked it last time and they're banning it away from Envy this time around. Don't even want to let it go as a first pick. It definitely is extremely snowbally, but I still feel like Elise just offers so many more options. Rek'Sai, with the redesign, the damage is great and the dueling is great, but you don't have a kind of contingency plan if you are unable to snowball, because she does not have the defenses. You don't want to build defense items because you scale so well with attack damage,
right.
And you also don't have the utility of like knocking up multiple people or using an ultimate to traverse around the map and affect multiple places as much as before.
The windows close quickly as you fall behind in Rek'Sai. Something like you would say like Elise in the Chem build tank. You get kicks at the end of the game. You lose those little bits with a Rek'Sai. We'll see if it's still the pickup. Gragas is locked in there. Pretty good for Darshan if he decides to take that. Dardoch will take the Caitlyn for Stixxay for some safe play in that bot lane as we look what the answer will be for Team EnVy.
Braum comes out really early on, and Braum has always been one of those things that's a really good answer to Gragas, because you can pop the barrels in the air with your Unbreakable. They're no longer, you know, these full AP Gragas barrels. They have to worry about one-shotting your carries, but even if you can step in front of the trajectory of the ultimate barrel from like a jungler position Gragas or a top laner position Gragas, just to block the utility of the spell, even if it's not going to be a fully
awesome.
AP backed one, still definitely offers you a lot. And I'm very curious to see how they are able to stack up in the 2 versus 2 here. Caitlyn Morgana into the Ashe Braum should be quite nice for CLG, actually, with the added pressure here from the Morgana pick. It's kind of a rare pick. We've seen it more so in North America than many of the other leagues around the world, because we have Aphromoo and Olay who have
really a few. Lemon actually got one of his wins on it as well.
Yeah.
So
regardless, though,
it's going to be interesting to watch the bot lane, because it's like it's the arrow, fast shield, or it's the bindings into fast shield on the other side. Who's going to be able to hit it better? Who's going to be able to block it better? The supports being the lifeblood of that lane to come in here. Yeah, and you also always have to remember, if a Morgana's with a Caitlyn, if you get hit with the binding, which already sucks because you're like, oh my god, this lasts so long, oh, the hitbox is so big, you also get a trap under your feet. As soon as the binding lands, Caitlyn can follow it up with a trap, so that's why this is a really good combo. As you said, it's going to put more importance on Braum jumping in there if one looks like it's going to be unavoidable, but we'll have to see how that one does play out. In the second round of ban phase, the Camille and Fiora both banned out. They're very similar now, especially with Camille getting some buffs on 7-12. I think she is back into solo, split pusher champion viability for the top lane. I do think Fiora is still better, but both of them off the table very quickly, and that's why we see the Renekton pick. Ready for Darshan to play them too. Instantly banned out there. Like you said, Renekton, the Syndra getting locked in here on the side of EnVy. Nisqy feels good looking at the composition. Obviously, he has to pick it, but that's what he decides to go with. Yeah, and this is one of his most played champions, so this will be probably our, real determining game here for Nisqy, like our first looks, basically. Because last game was like, all right, middle of the road, it's against Aurelion Sol. You did decently well in the early game. You did react to jungle invades. But now is really the time to shine for him. We'll see who he wants to go with as far as counterpicking into the Syndra. Aurelion Sol is kind of the opt-out, basically, of the 1 versus 1. And again, you want to go with the pushing, but Vladimir is kind of one of the older matches up into the Syndra here, and we'll see if Huhi, with some early magic resist, will be able to kind of farm out in this lane, basically. 11 unique champions with that Vladimir being locked in for Huhi in the mid lane. Absolutely crazy. We wondered about the pool. It becomes bigger and bigger each split that we see him get on these champions. Shen locked in again for EnVy. On the other side of the map, we saw them in the beginning. I love the way they use Shen to start things off, not save somebody with that shield and react. They were trying to go immediately once they got that level 6. We'll see if they stay proactive, because Counterlogic game is coming off some momentum. Yep, CLG with a very quick
game number 1 here in this series, and Envy do have their backs against the wall, but they have a lot of those tools that you talk about for proactive moves. Ashe in the bottom lane with a Shen on your team. There's an arrow, there's a Stand United. That's a very quick way, you know, to create some action. Elise in the early game should be able to get those lanes off to a good start. And Syndra usually has no problem of her own being able to get a little bit of early pressure. So CLG are really the ones that are going to have to make it work there on the mid lane side.
I just saw Coach Stixxay and Violet head off as they gave their players the last words of wisdom out of picks and bans. Hashtag Envy win, hashtag CLG win. Envy looking to keep this series alive. Pretty strong comp to do so. You can see the win condition right out of the pick and ban phase. We'll see if CLG can hold it down once again. They've switched quite a few things up in the composition, also bringing out the Vladimir for the first time.
And
this split, I should say.
Yeah, this split. Huhi definitely has had some very successful Vladimir games in the past when it was even more strong with the Proto Belt and Ignite. It looks like he's still going to go for that AD carry kill style Vladimir, where pretty much once you get Proto Belt, Vladimir can jump on your AD carry with the Ignite, has enough burst damage within one combo to kill your AD carry, and then tries to pull back out. You do give up the mobility and team fighting of taking Ghost on Vladimir if you go with this strategy, but I actually prefer it because it just makes the enemy AD carry's life a complete living hell if Vladimir is able to get, you know, to that mid game unscathed.
I'd love taps to start things off.
Yeah. The drawback, of course, of going with the, you know, Proto Belt Rush Ignite Vladimir is that in the 1v1 where Syndra, yeah, you will have a little bit more kill pressure, but you're going to have to use your pool on the ultimate and have to outplay. And to do that, you have to really watch the stuns and not let yourself get stunned because you won't be building early magic resist if you're trying to rush a Proto Belt. And Syndra definitely has the capabilities of bursting you down.
That's even the worst, too, because then you pool late, you have less health, you're using your health, so you're killing yourself. It becomes a very tough situation. Looks like we actually get a pretty quick start here. Let's see if LirA tries to do anything with his buffs. Actually, buff starts for both junglers as the Raptors are left hanging.
Yeah, both of them definitely a bit blue reliant. Dardoch here on the Gragas has the option, of course, of going for a reverse route where you go blue into your wolves up to get your red, and then kind of go for scuttles and raptors and come back down to the bottom side to get a little bit more vision and support for their bottom lane. But the options are definitely still open. LirA, of course, on Elise, one of the premier, basically the premier actually, early game jungler. So we'll see what he goes with. So far, a fairly hard farming route, as he also did Gromp and isn't going for the super quick level 3 double buff ganks that we see from quite a few Elise players.
Is that kind of just an Elise thing as well, going for Gromp, having spiders? Because that guy does quite a bit of damage really good.
Yeah, Elise has so many options. It's one of the reasons why she's so popular right now. You can do this hard farming route where you literally are clearing every single camp, you know, on your way down to the bottom side here, or you can go for the double buff, level 3 gank, super early on the game, use a repel and cocoon and put a tremendous amount of pressure onto laners early. As you can see, the speed at which Elise does clear when doing a hard farm route is also, you know, quite decent in her own right. As now he's going to have the double buffs, and he'll get level 4 off of Krugs very easily to see about the bottom side of the map. You can also take control of the bottom lane Scuttle Crab, as Dardoch did go for that kind of backwards route that we talked about, where you do go for the Scuttle, and then now he's heading in for that deep vision. They should know then that Elise is on the bottom side.
Yeah.
Just kind of check all your boxes there.
You know what makes me really sad, Kobe, is when I'm done with my jungle, I do not have that much health.
Elise with the spiders, with her own regen.
Yeah. Oh, it makes it look so
super
easy.
healthy at clearing it. Yeah, it's something that you really notice when there's like autofill junglers in your game or something, right? people who are not used to clearing the neutral camps. There's so many things as a jungler that you don't even think about at this point when clearing neutral camps that save you a lot of health. But LirA here is off to such an incredibly efficient route. Not only did he get his own side power clear, he also took bottom scuttler, and the Gromp was still there from Dardoch's jungle. So he does have a little bit of an experience advantage over Dardoch right now. It doesn't manifest in a level, so it won't matter as far as combat if they meet up, but definitely a lot of deep vision on both sides here for both blue quadrants that should see the plays coming.
Dardoch's going to realize, ooh, somebody's been in my jungle, and it looks like he'll have quite a long way before he gets anything. The Scuttle's taken down. He's going to get that ward. Obviously, knowing Scuttle was down, he's like, I'm just going to have to head back towards topside and make this happen. He's
been had. He will be able to get the wolves, but that is about it because there will be a delayed spawn on his raptors. And he's also been seen by the vision. So LirA continues to be more efficient, higher experience, and the experience now does turn out in a level, so he'll have that extra combat power as well. And it's definitely setting him up to have a power clear here. Dardoch, even with this kind of later raptor spawn, will not be able to catch up to LirA. Does get some vision on him, though.
Ooh.
As he comes to contest those raptors. Can LirA get there in time? Looks like Nisqy's going to lend a hand here.
It's kind of the first move we see out of lanes. We haven't really touched on lanes. It's basically completely even CS throughout right now. The amount of minions they need to get back to even are still waiting in the lane. So whatever happens here is going to be the first kind of teeter to the game. Whose favor does it go in? And Envy is in a pretty tough spot, but Seraph is cutting down first.
Yeah, important dodge there for Huhi on the stun, as that would have made it very easy for LirA to follow up with a Cocoon. And because he does dodge that, there's no engage here unless Dardoch decides to go aggro. All right, so LirA still with about one camp or half a camp of an advantage and has Raptors and Krugs of his own to clear if necessary. Ooh!
Took the words out of my mouth. The sounds.
Gimme.
Seraph hurt, bot lane's hurt. It may look like the CS is even, but Apollo and Hakuho are stuck under their turret taking damage. Seraph very low here, so it doesn't look like it's going to go even for much longer.
Yeah, Darshan does a good job of taking advantage of his level 6 spike. Seraph had the wave pushing towards him, which is very, very detrimental. There's no teleport on him, and he can't afford to give up experience on this whole wave, so he kind of sneaks around back in here to salvage the experience and a bit of the gold. Now he even goes for the taunt as LirA's on the way, but he's pretty far away still.
Gotta be careful. Could have even taunted in Gragas there. No slice and dice for Darshan to get out as the turret was on him, but they chose what he could.
It's a little bit of a risky move there for him to go
either or,
to that defense, but LirA on the way gave him the confidence, and CLG did respect, even though they didn't have any vision on LirA, that there's probably a reason Seraph is going so aggro here under the turret with such low life. So CLG don't go for the all-out dive, which would have turned bad, seeing as how close LirA was coming.
Yeah, great job here by Darshan. He uses his teleport, but says if I can push this in, Seraph doesn't have one. And there's that sixth sense, being smart about how far pushed up he was. Seraph has to stay at the turret.
Seraph will clear out one more, then probably go back. Seraph was starting a recall, and that's because he was planning on using Stand United on LirA to get back there for the 2 versus 1 if Darshan had face checked that brush. But Darshan does not, plays it safe, a little bit of tempered aggression, and EnVy are doing just fine.
Yeah, LirA doing a great job at picking up the CS. He was down about 10 or 11 as he got pushed off, but his return to the turret keeps him even. There's a phage for Darshan, so he still has to be careful. Dardoch enters back down to the bot side of his jungle. See if this is his. Looks like he doesn't even obviously need to give it to Huhi, so he'll be able to roll around with a bit more mana.
Able to get that for himself. It's always really nice for a jungler when you get to claim your own blue buffs, right? For the whole game, Vladimir has no reason really to take blue buffs from Dardoch, so that experience that you get by not having to hand off your blue buff catches him right back up to LirA. LirA had been holding this 1 to 2 camp lead for pretty much the whole game, but LirA hands his blue buff off completely to Nisqy, whereas Dardoch doesn't have to, so feels good there, man, for the Gragas.
Speaking about blue buffs, I mean, we're watching CLG. Remember, these guys used to be the ones to kind of trick a lane out and then give it to Darshan so he could use the top lane, and they throw the map off.
All right, here comes the swap. CLG trying to push down for a first turret bonus. Darshan threatening with his Renekton ultimate, but EnVy clearing it out.
A few shots from Stixxay. Apollo is the able to use the volley to get that clear out here, but we do have that lane swap, 3v2 on the top side, as it's going to possibly a roam from Nisqy. The roam is already there from LirA, and they may make this an extended one.
Ooh, good shield there from Aphro. Those reaction speeds still intact.
Yep, wondering how fast the fingers would be. Locks it right down. Hasn't had a Morgana play in quite a few games, and still has it.
Yeah, the Ashe arrow's not the, oh!
That one gonna connect though. They don't hit a binding on that. Good engage. LirA goes forward, gets the Q, but the soul shackle is onto LirA. All the damage is going to Aphromoo right now. Good block by Hakuho. There's the kill. First blood going over to Apollo. Another kill now for LirA as a stunned Dardoch is left under his turret here. Nothing coming in from mid. They're just gonna watch Envy head out.
And Envy keep up with the top side pressure here. Nice wraparound, and the cocoon landing here for LirA enables them to keep up this chase. Even though Dardoch body slams to interrupt the the taunt flash here from Seraph, they're still able to keep it up because they have 4 members down here. Braum's so good at chasing people down, and that is actually going to turn it around on the top side here for Team Envy. Now they're going for the recall instead of trying to pressure. You remember that first turret bonus gold is still available, and Envy's top turret is very low. If they fully just give up on the turret here, they could, CLG could get back and try and get that objective still. Anyways, here's the chase as LirA and Hakuho do most of the work in landing this. Slows onto Aphromoo, nice. And then Seraph is actually able to get in there on the side with the taunt. After Dardoch tried to body slam earlier in reaction to the flash.
It's the Envy we know. The early game Envy, trying to produce things immediately. Coming in, flash, spell immune as well. Fingers are moving fast here. It does hit onto Dardoch, however, and it looks like they're going for the full fight. Dardoch tries to pull the damage away from Stixxay, who just came back, but now Dardoch goes down. Nisqy's gonna fall.
Whoopsies.
Dardoch picks himself up a kill, but nobody gets the red buff on that trade-off.
Could have been a bit better there from Nisqy, but Envy in the end get 2 for 1 still. Now they're being chased off though as the large crocodile runs down top lane.
This is CLG retaliation mode. Huhi just on the edge of flash, tides of blood.
Proto Belt is
charged
done.
Up and ready. They're looking for the end. There's the flash. There's the tides of blood. And the Proto Belt damage to come in along with it. Darshan slicing and dicing to try and draw out some aggro. It looks like CLG's ready to wait for the turret, possibly. They're kind of going under the turret. Huhi feels invincible here as they slow down and they go for that structure.
The battle of first. Oh, the binding! Seraph walks into it.
Respecting the distance, not many people are playing against a Morg, and we'll see those bindings hit at almost max range more than not. That was a little closer there, but Seraph gets out alive.
Wow, in that long battle in the top lane, back and forth for so long, CLG do end up securing that first turret gold. Anyways, what LirA went for there, that was completely calculated. He wasn't surprised by the black shield.
Right.
He was doing that to get the black shield out so that Aphromoo could not use it then on the priority targets, Stixxay, or even Dardoch there. So good flash from LirA to get over the binding, force the black shield out. Bad job there by Nisqy. A little bit, oh, whoopsies. Yeah, I was turret aggro, but oh well. As Envy still, even with that first turret going over to CLG, Envy still have this gold lead. And if they can answer back with the outer turret, we'll be able to increase that lead and start to use some of that gold.
Yep. Gonna keep that vision up. CLG's already done a good job at furthering their pink wards inside the jungle. Aphromoo already won't stop here as they try to put some damage down onto Hakuho, but it's kind of the same idea for both teams here. A lot of fighting just happened. We'll be getting out of base with some breathing room. Who can get that vision down? But the next step is who can protect their vision. But right now, CLG has those wards being protected. It's going to be the stick onto Hakuho. He's been in this position for a while, and that could be Envy setting up the gank onto CLG. They fall into the trap, and they're able to take the kill onto Dardoch.
Yeah, all of Envy can arrive because Seraph Stand United is available. Now they're going to be able to claim either mid-turret or actually pincer here down onto the bottom. Arrow misses, so they're not going to go for the dive.
Getting a little ahead of themselves. Maybe held the arrow on that, but still trying to make moves quick. CLG comes back very fast, and Envy is trying to prevent that right away. Possible steal here. These are the kind of things that get a little bit scary. What you don't need.
Yoink.
It looks like they should be able to get it. A bit of damage. Oh, it does go to Nisqy too. Nicely done.
Yeah, very well done. Able to execute before patience runs out. Blue buff runs all the way home. Back to CLG homeland. Now they're going to have those double blues. We'll see what they can actually do with it, though, because as we said before in that last fight, the Proto Belt is done for Huhi on the Vladimir. So from this point on, the teamfight presence from this champion becomes a little bit difficult for Envy to deal with, and especially if there's a black shield on him, and CLG are taking the initiative to charge forward.
Oh, that's so true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's really difficult to kind of control that one. It's a lot of AoE damage that does come out, and specifically for Apollo, you might have to burn his summoners.
Go invincible, and then not be able to crowd control him through his shield. Huhi could have some big moves here. Already 1-0, trying to stack up a Dark Seal. As the lanes kind of return to normal here after top was taken down. CLG getting a fast rotation on there to meet what was happening in the top side. That first turret blood in their favor. We'll see what kind of item spikes they can work with. That BF sword to Apollo's building. Blade of the Rune King. Could definitely be a fight for CLG in the bot lane.
Yep, definitely have to watch out for all of Envy's surprise ultimates that are very ready. Remember, all the outer turrets still up. Envy have this 1,000 gold lead without even answering turrets yet. So if Envy finally decide, to pull the trigger on the bottom side, or are able to set up enough vision to get the Ashe arrow plus the Shen Stand United down there, along with roams, it could really collapse very quickly for CLG in that area. Currently, though, Rift Herald attracting a lot of attention.
I like the fact that the Hawk Shot was the one that scared him off, but not the Scuttle Shrine, just completely giving him vision.
It's walking really close to this vision.
Maybe they don't know. Oh, they found us. They pull off real quick. CLG still trying to sneak a quick one out there.
Yeah, and as you can see, currently Stixxay is walking bottom to get this farm. I would expect this is kind of the perfect storm for Envy's bottom lane play that we keep theorizing for them.
They're already routing it.
Stand United's available. Darshan does not have teleport. Renekton's in the top lane in vision of Envy. Like, this is complete power for Envy in the bottom half of the map. First, they're going to grab the Mountain Drake. A bit safe here, take up the objective, and then go for the kills and the possible play on the bottom side of the map. But Darshan is able to push up the minions in that time, so it makes it a little bit more of a decision here, right? You're going to have to allow Seraph a little bit of time to equalize on minions in the top side before you really want to commit, unless you see an opportunity just kind of present itself to you. And, there's an easy arrow or there's no Morgana around to put that shield on.
Teleport was coming up for Darshan. However, you could see Seraph pinging the lane and moving up very fast to find him. Both of these top laners can stall each other's teleports, which is quite big. So they have to keep an eye on each other, have to keep those wards deep. Seraph now with pressure on the top side of the turret. Look around the map to see how everything is faring. 174 for Nisqy in the mid lane. 167 for Apollo at 80 carry here as they're able to do some work against Stixxay and Aphromoo, even with the early game pressure that CLG's created. Envy come out a little bit stronger this time and are able to hold that lead this time. It didn't quickly go back to CLG.
Yeah, the question now remains, where are they going to try and use this power to actually get some turrets down? Because CLG are holding strong. They're defending all of their outer turrets. And as you said, Darshan's teleport now off cooldown, so that window of time that they were working with the kind of perfect storm deal on the bottom side where they even had defeat vision, now there's a possibility of CLG answering it. Currently though, just pushing up, and Apollo is going to be able to take down this outer turret in exchange for some push in mid lane for CLG, as well as Darshan pushing up on the top side. Oh, they're going a little bit forward in that mid lane, trying to chase out Huhi, but he's just screening for this blue buff steal. Woo!
By Seraph, taking that away. The entire Envy team is working together on this. Oh, there's a few people in the jungle. Let's send everybody at them. Create that pressure. Our waves are in a good spot. They are trying to move CLG around with the way that Envy wants to play right now. So far, CLG having to respond, but I think Darshan is making an impact in that top lane. You're going to have a good split push onto Seraph, and it's going to be about that teleport or the stand united if you're on Envy's side to whatever the fight is. Nobody's really taking the extra fights inside the jungle. The skirmish is a little less this time without any thresh hooks. Aphromoo's binding, kind of capitalizing on a few things this game.
Yep, CLG also waiting for Huhi to get Another item here completed. Pretty close to the mask coming through as well on top of the proto belt. And that's where so much of the team fight power comes from. Vladimir plus Caitlyn, really, really good scaling team fight DPS there from those champions. So that's why CLG are not really trying to take any of the fights, and they're just slowly defending their turrets. Not really, you know, wanting to risk much over Team EnVy, while Team EnVy try and use their early game leads, which that has been pretty much one of the greatest strengths for this team. For their entire duration in the LCS, Team EnVy have been good at getting early game leads.
Yes.
And they've found another one.
And the question is, what do they do with it? How do they formulate that lead into something where they continuously can push their wards forward, guard their wards, very close. Summoner heal coming out of Stixxay right there. But that's one way to do it. If you can get an AD carry down to 100 HP with solo situations, you have a lot more pressure on the map to do little things, move vision, and create those opportunities.
Heal down on Stixxay, definitely pretty critical, but as we said, he is getting closer and closer to scaling up. Infinity Edge close to being completed. He was forced back a bit too early there before he could farm up enough, but it's on the way. Even with those 2 deaths and a lot of the focus for Team EnVy being around the bottom side and getting those kills, they really do have to keep their eyes open here for the initiation.
Quite dark on the other side of the map. As you can see, the vision cut off of what Apollo can see here.
Oh!
Going to be a 3v2 as they come in real fast. Apollo's low. He gets the flash out off of Glacial Fissure, but then blown back by the cast. Here comes LirA, and they finish off Dardoch. Apollo is still alive after this entire situation. Hakuho with the shield up, bringing presence to the team. Nisqy again, a little too hard under the turret. Keeps himself alive that time as LirA goes for the finish. That's the shield. Volatile Spiderling. Oh, to the right target as he dives in. And EnVy, stay proactive on CLG.
What a stand there from Apollo with Seraph Stand United coming in on top of it. He barely survives the entire fight. Heal flown, flash flown, and still able to lifesteal during that trade. What a play there from Apollo and Team EnVy. That's going to earn them the Baron on top of it. And there's their answer, Riv. They are able to withstand CLG's kind of trap there in the brush, and just barely, just by like 50 health, he survives, and they're able to take that skirmish fight. It looks so bad for Apollo here as Huhi flashes it on him with the Ignite, with the Proto Belt. And even with Darshan interrupting the Shen, it doesn't matter because the shield is what allowed Apollo to live through this. He gets down to less than 50 health there before the team converges on him. Hakuho on Braum, jumps in, stands with him. And then here we go, LirA with the follow-up, able to get the black shield off. Even though the cocoon goes a little wide on Aphromoo, the kill he was looking for was on the Stixxay anyway, and he does get it.
You gotta love those situations.
Look at that! Look at that damage as well from Apollo. And this is why we keep highlighting him, and why Team EnVy have been playing, you know, kind of more and more so around the bottom lane.
And that the play by that as well, continuously moving, stacking his shots, getting that Warlord, pass it back up, so he can get that heal, so he can get that life, that movement speed. Doing everything he needed to stay alive in that fight with the help of his team.
And the team peeling around him.
So good.
Seraph Stand United was very quick, and Hakuho with the huge wall there blocking so much damage. All right, let's return to the split push of CLG though, because they're trying to trade at the moment. Baroned up EnVy with their early lead is very difficult for CLG to actually take the fight. So they just made the call to keep Huhi split pushing and got a bit of damage on the turret, but nothing to really speak of as far as combat power for themselves or getting much back in this game. That last top play really just completely blew this game wide open for Team EnVy.
Did, much like game 1 when Darshan was roaming around doing things, EnVy have gotten themselves a pretty substantial lead here in game 2. Dragons in their favor, just like CLG had in game 1. And the items are now spiking here. Locket finished up. Those Aegis before the Locket both were built by LirA and Hakuho. So you can just see how much more money they have right now to play with in that 7,000 gold lead. There is going to be a diminishing return on that shield buff that they use. So make sure they don't just stack them on if they go to start shielding each other.
All right, CLG going into defensive mode here. trying to farm it up. Now that they kind of failed in their top lane little play there, it becomes much more of shifting the game into the Vladimir and Caitlyn late game win condition. Their strategy here of trying to scale into late, farm for late, boys, has become the modus operandi for CLG.
Well, they're going to have the minion waves. It's just, does Envy stay with those minion waves so they're not Stixxays to absorb, Huhis to eat up and just scale? That's the objective here, and Envy is already starting to go behind those second-tier turrets. Makes them almost impossible to farm. Hakuho gets some time with Apollo at the turret.
This is really good change here for Envy. As we've been saying here in Summer Split, with the first couple of games where they brought in Pyrian. This is kind of what they looked like, where they again got their early leads, but they also pressured very quickly with them, turning them into those Barons and into taking so many of the turrets afterwards here. Again, a little bit different look with Nisqy as far as champions comes, and we see a little bit more versatility in the mid lane champions coming through already, but not that much difference in the play style.
Right.
And Team Envy are keeping up the pressure. Here comes Nisqy down to the bottom side.
Full energy here for Seraph. He can hit the initial taunt. Still waiting on that. Oh, misses, but he still just throws the baton to the right. Gets
Close
the kill
enough.
on Huhi. Close enough. It works. It works.
Meanwhile, Apollo going to try and hold here against CLG in the mid lane. And because CLG are so far behind and they don't have any vision, not even going to be able to get any sort of map presence back for themselves. Big roam coming back up here for Team Envy. And with the Baron and this kill advantage now, Team Envy should be able to press in. But again, it's kind of similar to last game where you're like, oh, the tables have turned, and it's only 26 minutes into the game that we have such a big early lead for Envy, and this Baron power kind of times out. And there it is. You can see 7,000 gold for themselves.
Ridiculous. A lot of averages around 2.5, 3 for teams in a Baron power play. What an amount they were able to get during that. And the items as well, continuing to spike. A 3-item Apollo now that used to be building a Blade of the Rune King to a BF Sword, almost Infinity Edge Stixxay. What a change that has become, as he has now just surpassed the other AD carry. A third Locket of the Iron Solari going to be built here. It looks like Envy has some coupons. They just want to keep stacking them on.
Yeah, the shields do have diminishing returns for themselves, so two is already like a big amount. So maybe this one gets turned into
that's true.
The Banner of Command.
That's
I think
true.
that would definitely should be the call from Seraph.
Very good point.
To also help out with Shen split pushing.
Got ahead of myself.
It could be. If he does turn into another one, then you can go off on him. But as of right now, Seraph's going to go off on Huhi.
Just saying, I wouldn't build a third one in silver. That's all.
There you go. Good eye. Maybe, yeah, 2, you're like, whoopsie,
okay.
We're not going to do that again. All right, here we go, though. The 1v1 continues, and Vladimir healing off the minions as well. Might have to do with a couple more members of Envy. Now, here come 2 primary ones.
Yeah, it's the last few kills. Oh, should be some healing after this. Doesn't have that blood rush coming through, though. He goes down, and it's Huhi been down. There's no pressure that CLG can continue to put on the map, really, then kind of pressuring the outer turrets. And Envy's like, okay, that's fine for now.
Yeah, I mean, CLG cannot aim high. They're like, all right, well, we will take any sort of trades right now. And yeah, although Huhi does die up on the top side, they're like, all right, Darshan, just stay down there, get an outer turret. Little bit of gold back for themselves. That's one small step in a many-step process that it's going to have to be for CLG if they want to get back into this game. So currently for Team Envy, they're still feeling very good about keeping up the pressure and having that split push really take its toll. As you can see also in that little convergence onto Huhi, Apollo has built to a lot of defenses here to deal with the Vladimir. The Phantom Dancer damage reduction, the magic damage shield here from the upgraded Hex Shrinker going to be able to pop, and then lifesteal as well as just pretty much all the AD carry tools for dealing with a backline diving Vladimir here. And it has served him well.
Last Whisper, as we were saying, things built up. Nisqy has quite a few items himself.
Ah, there you go, Riv.
Oh, it's a third Locket of the Iron Solari. All right, it happens.
Where's the banner?
It happens, and it just did happen. 29 minutes in, 10-2 on this one. Envy building what they want. That's what it is. Whatever they want to
Shields
put in that
for
extra,
everyone.
Shields for everybody is what the party is as they come in strong here. They are now on the outer base. I should say inside base, those outer turrets. The last 3 for the inhibitors. And this is kind of where they can get stalled out in their games. The pressure for going further. See how they split CLG around the map, because CLG also knows how to wait out a situation and defend it and kind of pick you apart until they find a way back in. Whoop. And here, they might be able to pick apart Hakuho. Decide not to use the ultimate.
Yeah, they don't have vision, so they don't know if it's reliable to go all in on this Braum, and they don't want to use any of their abilities, but they're so far behind. EnVy's just going to yoink this Baron very easily because of that lack of vision.
Oh, swiping.
This one might be a long one. There's working on it though. There's your locket activation.
Yep.
Even though it's big now, with the tanks using it, doesn't look like it'll be enough.
Oh, there arrow! And it's going to be Nisqy too. Darshan thought he was getting a 1v1. It's a 3v1 in the end.
All right, locket purchase verified right there. That is going to be the correct one.
Keeps never question it.
Just keeps him just alive. So it's also interesting to think, here we go, Apollo versus Huhi.
1v1. Oh, the Stand United comes in. Is it ever a 1v1? This is a team game, and it's a matter of seconds. The Zanya gets used 1.5. He's going to come out now. Apollo looking to get the kill over. It's a lot of damage going on to Dardoch, and he's still able to stay alive as they get bounced around left and right. The chaos in favor of EnVy as they ace CLG.
Apollo with his lead and with the defensive items that he's built, and with a Braum jumping in to stop any of that follow-up damage, he is not fazed by this Vladimir, and Huhi can't even take him down. That's going to be Team EnVy striking back.
I mean, he's got the Phantom Dancer. It says 0 deaths defied. Not even close, baby. Apollo stays alive. 3-0-7 to end the game. 15-2 as EnVy brings it to a game 3 versus CLG.
So it's always interesting to think about, even with only getting 50% of the value from your, second locket activation.
Right. Yes.
With the buffs to it and the large amount of health on the tanks.
They're just like, I want it.
How big is the shield still
I want it.
For Seraph here in that game? Because while he was by himself without the debuff from any previous lockets, that was looked like about a 2,000 health shield due to its scaling off of health now. So it then becomes how broken is the item that it doesn't even matter if you have diminishing returns, that you want to build 3 of them if you have 3 high health members. Regardless, that was not a big part of the game. Just an interesting little tidbit.
Very interesting.
And Team EnVy, the important part of the game is that they return to their early game strengths, and then as soon as they got that big pick, over to the Baron, super quick with the Baron, 7,000 gold Baron power play, and able to finish this game off in a very decisive manner.
Well, we just watched it, but let's get right back into it. The early action in the top lane when we saw EnVy go 2 for 0, and then it became that 2 for 2.
And that cocoon just right outside the model of Aphromoo, but snagged Stixxay on the end, was what led to EnVy being able to create this chase. And Seraph, he tried to flash forward to then get the taunt. The body there from Dardoch was able to interrupt it for a second, and he still had the taunt cooldown to use and was able to land it afterwards. There we saw LirA flashing over the binding, getting the dark shield out, the cooldown down by throwing out that cocoon, and that was all that he wanted. Then Nisqy was knocked into the turret with the Gragas ultimate there. At the time, we kind of blamed him. We were like, you positioned a little too close there. I guess we don't really blame him there. It's a Gragas combo. Difficult to
This is true. He did get himself onto the turret a little bit later, but lived that time. So obviously adapting in game. That's what we love to see. Replay now at 21 minutes. EnVy 3 for 0 in the top lane. And this is where it feels bad for CLG, because you're like, we have the upper hand. We have the engage. And it did not work.
Apollo versus Huhi, part number 1. The legend started here. They used exhaust on him. They used flashes on him. They used ignite on him. But Hakuho jumps in. LirA is able to rally around him. The Stand United shields comes through, even though Darshan interrupted the Shen teleport. And that is enough for Apollo to be able to live with both summoners used, and such a big swing from this point in the game.
And that was his, I believe we saw on the chart, a 4,000 some damage fight. They get Baron after this, but Apollo really playing out of his mind this game and helping to stave off what those plays would have done is really turn the game around. If they got taken down that far up in a lane, that would have been CLG running back a few turrets and getting control once again.
And that's such a heartening thing to see here for Team EnVy is the trust in their teammates and the communication there. Yes, Apollo is playing these fights well, with the auto attack, then moving and trying to use his summoners effectively.
Space.
But also, yeah, orb walking is what we used to call it way back in the old days of the original Dota and all that, when there were actual orbs. Anyways, the trust in the teammates. Back to the trust in the teammates of the Braum and the Shen. Those are champions that can be very powerful in situations like this. It does require that level of trust, right? And that level of communication where you need to get here now with your Stand United. You need to be in position here for the stand behind me with Braum. And in the end, everybody was still standing, and Apollo was able to live.
And they were still able to get in the Shen ults kind of for the fight, noticing the fight. It wasn't we need to retreat. It's this Shen ults coming in. The fight may have started, but we're still going with
stand and fight.
Stand and fight. Don't go anywhere because this series is going to a Game 3. We are going to stand and fight. Stick around after the highlights for an excerpt from our weekly podcast, The Dive.